Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today I have pre-shuffled my tarot so that we are able to get right into exploring themes for yourself. So, right now we have the Carnelian stone for the first pile. Then we have the Uruguayan amethyst for the second pile, and the moss agate for the third. So you can go ahead, see what feels best for you, and we will add in oracle cards after the initial readings. Now I will note that if you are interested in something more involved and personalized, I do offer readings on Etsy, or you can get a discounted reading on my Patreon, so I will leave those links below. But anyhow, feel free to check the description for the timestamps for your selected pile. All right, so we're starting off with the Carnelian, which is a gorgeous tigery stone. It's got that bit of orange and black, creating that beautiful effect. We're going to place it off to the side and take a look. Now, I shuffled these cards, but I have not yet seen them, so we're going to discover them together and then figure out what oracle decks might be best to help you along your journey. So, let's get started. So we have the 5 of coins, then the 4 of swords, the King of Swords, the Ace of Wands, okay, then the 6 of Wands, I like those together, and, ooh, the 10 of Wands, okay. So this is a very clear story about what could be potentially wonderful for you, but only if you actually take advantage of it. So I'm just trying to see if this is the right order for it. Something like this, I feel like makes the most sense. Yeah, okay. So what I'm getting is that there's something that is making you feel afraid of not having stability, of feeling like maybe financially you'd be insecure, your physical location or your body. And I get that from the 5 of coins. This is a card, probably out of all the cards in the deck, the most closely associated with poverty. But it can also be, again, materially or physically just feeling unsafe, ungrounded, and a bit lost. And I also get that feeling because we have the 4 of swords here. The 4 of swords is telling me that you're stuck. And I think you're stuck because of the 5 of coins. I might even put them like this. Or no, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, so I'm getting the feeling that these are in a way feeding each other. You're getting stuck, so you're feeling lost, but because you're lost, you're not really letting yourself get out of feeling stuck. The 4 of swords, the swords is very much a thinking related suit. It's very much about logic, about action. Coins is a bit more of the grounding, but we can get into that a bit later if we need to. Now, I will say you get clarity from this. You have the King of Swords here, which tells me at some point you resolve this. I'd love to know how, so we might pull from the oracles to get a better idea. But you get stuck in this situation, but something says to you, you know what? I need to get clarity. I need to take action on this and move through it. And you do. And I think when you reach this point, some type of new venture is coming for you. It's going to be fun. I feel like it'll be something that will give you something that you feel confident about doing, something that you're passionate about. But I also see that you get too caught up in it. You get too caught up in what could go wrong, which comes back to your 5 of coins. The 10 of wands is a famous story about, I can't remember if it's a prince or some individual, and he's looking for his daughter, and he puts his ear to the ground and spends so long doing this that, you know, the tree grows out and he doesn't get to enjoy the tree that was bared from his efforts of looking for his daughter, essentially. And I do kind of get the sense where you could be so obsessed with your worry that you miss out on enjoying what's actually there and available, and maybe even consider this experience more of a burden than something to enjoy. So I would be watchful of that. But the other thing to consider here is that this is a successful venture. You do get recognition, fame, a reward from this experience. And I think you should put your focus there rather than getting caught up in your own fears of what could go wrong. So we're going to start off with that. And what I want to do actually is pull from the the Threads of Fate Oracle, because it usually has very clear themes that are either actionable or you can consider a direction or a tool. And I feel like we're missing a couple pieces of your journey that I would like a bit more knowledge on. No, those were stuck together, so I like my messages to be clear. Let's see if any... Oh, that felt nice. Okay. Let's see who's joining the conversation. Okay, we have the pillar. So getting that sense of groundedness, which makes sense. That does seem to be important. Death. Death. How would death play a role here? I kind of see it happening with your 10 of Wands. Not being able to enjoy. Actually, I'm starting to see things a little differently. This could be a warning. Surrender. I think that makes a ton of sense if you're trying to surrender to the concerns and feelings you've had. And boundaries, which makes me wonder if your concerns were related to your boundaries. Maybe you let someone take advantage of you and you've been feeling the frustration of that ever since. Because yeah, what I'm seeing here, the pillar, there are different dual meanings to it, but generally it is a sense of stability. It's also a pathway, so it could be something coming through that's new. I kind of get the idea that when you work through this kind of stuckness that you're feeling, it is that new pathway, which leads, actually I would switch these in that case, that leads into your new creative venture. I do think there's something to do with either setting boundaries or forgiving boundaries that were crossed that would give you a little bit more freedom. And I say that especially because you have the surrender card there saying we need to let it go. But I do see this as a consistent thing you are battling. And the reason I say that is because as much as I love to put the positive cards at the end of a reading, I also have to be realistic with what I'm seeing or feeling. And I do get the feeling that you have this incredible reward coming to you, but the ability to enjoy it kind of dies off when you aren't aware of it, when you're too caught up in the more superficial aspects of things. So obviously that's not ideal, but I do think it's something you can work through. And I think what we can do actually is pull from the Divine Feminine Oracle in this case. And the reason I would suggest this deck is because these are wonderfully positive entities, goddesses, deities, all of that, that you can take aspects of in their character to embody or to use as a role model, if you will, to navigate this experience, to give you reminders of where your focus can be if you want things to work out well. So one of those came out quite clearly and quickly. I just want to see if anything else will. I mean, that's pretty clear. So let's see who these two are. The ruler of the deck. She's on the cover. Mary Magdalena. I mean, the Virgin Mary. The source of all life, supposedly. We'll see. The apostle to the apostles. I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. Which gives me a feeling that maybe you need to worry a little less about the physical aspects like we were talking about with the 5 of Coins, and accepting that you are a spiritual being ultimately, and because of that, as spiritual beings, we are always cared for in some capacity, particularly regarding our spiritual selves, which cannot be created or destroyed at this point. And then who else do we have? Oh, I never can pronounce her name. Khadija, Khadija, I think is how you say it. The mother of believers. You have a lot of mothers in here. That's very interesting. I wonder if this is working through a mother trauma. I am spiritually and financially abundant. I provide heaven and earth for myself. Okay, this is not typical that you'll have two cards. I don't know if you'll be able to read that, but they both talk of heaven and earth. I think that there is a need for you to work on connecting your spirituality to your physical realm and not get too hyper-focused on your physical realm worries. Like I mentioned, the physical stability that we can get so caught up on. But I am spiritually and financially abundant. It's telling you that things are okay. I mean, look at this, right? We had this card, the Six of Wands. This is a very good card for getting the rewards, getting the abundance you desire. But it's up to you to actually see it. That's what I see, at least. So anyhow, I hope that this reading was insightful for you. If you want something that is a bit more detailed and has a bit more of a full span to it, you're welcome to take a look at the links below for the Etsy or the Patreon, whatever you would be interested in. And I hope that this provided you, some type of insight or ways to question the world that we live in and how you apply yourself to it. So anyhow, thank you so much for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. And I hope I get to see you in the next reading. All right. Hello, Amethyst people. We are going to do your reading. I will say, and don't tell this to the other groups, but you have my favorite stone, or at least my current favorite stone, which is Uruguayan amethyst. It's so rich and dark purple, and it just has such a beautiful, almost glowy, shiny nature to it. So very good choice. I'm not having favoritism here. I'm just telling you I like it. So anyhow, these were pre-shuffled, but I have not yet seen them. So we're going to discover them together, and we'll take what these are and add various oracle decks depending on what we think might be best for assisting you in your reading. So let's see. We have the Eight of Cups to start. Bit of a heavy energy there. The Hermit. Then the Eight of Coins. Okay. And the Seven of Swords. Who's playing games with you? The Four of Cups. Now the question is serious. Who is playing games with you? And the Ace of Cups. Okay. Let me think about this for a second. What I see, if I'm being completely honest, is a tumultuous relationship that you may or may not have jumped in. And not just a relationship. This can also be a job that you chose out of emotion, or a friendship that is maybe considered toxic or unhealthy. I see that started. I see some trickery. I see you leaving it. Well, how do I see you leaving it, though? I do see you having some issues to work through, which is normal. So, okay, here's how I see it. Ace of Cups, a fantastic new relationship or new connection card. The interesting thing, though, a lot of people will look at Ace of Cups as like the wonderful romantic beginnings of something. But I have learned through my own research, as well as through other tarot readers, that this can be a bit of a sloppy beginning. It can be a bit of a rushed or highly emotional beginning to something. And so it may not yield the best results. And the reason I also say that is we have the other cards here, which are some of the trickiest cards in the deck. You have the Seven of Swords, which is, it's literally the trickster card.
if you're having someone who's lying to you, who's playing games, I have seen this card come up for cheating. I am not claiming any of that, but it has come up before in marriages that have cheating in them. I also see the Four of Cups here, which is an illusion card, and I'll show it to you a little closer because this card, you'll notice that the prince or the king, I can't remember if he's a prince or king, he's got these three beautiful like glass or statuesque birds. They're not real, right? But he's not avoiding, but he's just not aware of the beautiful bird singing outside. I always find this to be such a powerful card for imagery because it's saying that there's such a fixation on illusion, on the things that don't really matter, and or sometimes the lack of present moment, not being able to be present, that you miss out. And I think that could itself be the trick. You know, sometimes life just plays tricks on you. Sometimes your own mind plays tricks on you. So that's very possible. I do also see that whatever this dynamic is, with the Eight of Coins, you're going to be in a lot of pain a lot of the time. It is meaningful work, what you're doing, whether it's emotional, mental, however it comes about. I don't see it as abusive from what I'm seeing. But again, this is just a reading for fun, just as a reminder. But when I look at this, I kind of get the feeling that this is important work for you to do for yourself. It's not really for this connection. And I also see that because we have two eights here, which are kind of like when you're pulling yourself through something a bit difficult, but you leave it. Whatever this was, you're going to leave, or the other individual or entity, whatever it is going to leave. And I don't think this is a bad thing. I think that there have been some issues, and it may be best to part ways, even if it's just temporary. And I see from this that you're going to take some time for yourself. Be careful when you do this. Please don't get yourself depressed. I say this and I laugh a little because I've been there many times. Sometimes after a tumultuous situation, we can kind of hide away from everyone. And while that's important to reflect on yourself, please don't get yourself too stuck. But I do see that you take that time for yourself quietly to process this experience. So, based on this, I just want to see what we can pull from, because I'm just trying to think of the best deck to pull from in your case. And I kind of feel like it would be the Astro Oracle deck, which is an astrology deck. It has a little more basis to different emotions. So let's see what pops out when it comes to the cards here. I get this one here. That one wanted to come with, so why not? Anybody else? Are we quiet today? Kind of. I kind of feel this one. Okay, let's see who we have here. Oh, this is so... Sometimes the cards freak me out because I know that I'm just a person navigating energy out through this medium. But seeing Juno partnership, which is a card I never pull, to see it here, it tells me that this is especially a reading that is maybe helpful for people that are in relationships or connections right now. Vesta, it does give the sense that finding that sense of grounding and peace for yourself will be probably the most beneficial thing that you can do. Ooh, Mars in motion, but Mars... I would look at what house Mars is if you do astrology. This is famously a war planet. Famously a tumultuous planet, right? So I do see this as something that you're navigating. Let's just put it that way. You're navigating a very stressful, perhaps, situation. And there might be a lot of fiery, almost warlike angry energy, and that's okay. So we have a bit of a better idea of the the various themes that we are working with here, which is fair. I think I can completely understand that. But I don't want to end on that. I think that there's still more. I think, you know what, we're going to do the full shebang. We're going to grab from this deck and we'll grab from one more as well. So we are going to see what the threads. Oh, okay, well, that was easy. You ever just have a card fly out immediately? So who's this? This is boundaries. You gotta have them. And I can definitely, sorry, I'm rubbing my face a little because it does stress me out. But I laugh because it's all temporary, right? This is just a part of our soul experience. But you need to set boundaries. Whoever's kind of playing games with you, you gotta set your boundaries, especially because remember, you have that Seven of Swords, you have that Four of Cups. It does kind of give that impression that someone might think that they can play games with you. And I think you need to set the record straight that that will not fly. So my final thing that I'm going to do is pull from the Divine Feminine, particularly because it has such wonderful entities that are so strong and full of... Oh, that doesn't feel right. Oh, okay. That felt right, I guess. What I was trying to say is there are entities that can be very good representations of how to process your energy. Now, the one that came out on top here is kind of the one I think that matters the most, but we'll read all three. So you have Maoshan, the Princess of Mercy. Giving is receiving. The energy of the universe is merciful. This tells me that whoever is potentially leading you to have these kinds of feelings, do not pursue it with anger. Although there is a Mars, like we talked about, that may have you desire to do that. Having mercy on this situation for yourself and others involved, I think will give you a lot more peace. We have Sekhmet, the Red Lady. I am pure strength. I honor my anger by giving it a voice. Okay, so maybe there is a little anger that needs to come out here. Maybe you need to speak your truth and deal with the result. But just don't get too crazy with it, okay? I'm a little worried for you. So, okay, we need to speak a little bit. I was incorrect there. And then we have the Green Tara. I haven't seen this in a while. This is the Buddha of enlightened action. My soul informs every step. I do what my heart compels me to do. That's really sweet. I think that it is most important that you come to this with a sense of understanding yourself, understanding your soul, your value, and your worth. I think that'll bring you, hopefully, a lot of peace. But anyhow, this is your reading for today. If you want something a bit more in depth, as I mentioned, I do have an Etsy or discounted readings on Patreon. But yeah, if you liked this reading, please feel free to subscribe or like the video. And I hope that I get to see you again and do another reading for you in the future. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching. Bye. All right, so we are going to see what the Moss Agate has in store for us. I'll give you a little look at the beautiful stone that it is because it's one of my absolute favorites. You can see here, it's got kind of like almost like a tree-like root system or something growing within it. So we'll place that off to the side, and I have not yet looked at these cards. I just shuffled and placed the cards out. So we are going to see them together. And based on what we get here, we will decide on what oracles might be the best for the experience that you're having. So we have the Five of Cups. Okay. Starting out a little heavy. The Six of Swords. My goodness. Okay. Eight of Wands. Then Death. I actually love that card. Then we have the Page of Swords and the Four of Coins. So let us take a look here at what we're dealing with. I mean, God, it just wrote itself, didn't it? Sorry, I laugh because it is quite a telling tale that is in the cards here. So we start off with the Five of Cups, heartbreak, grief, extreme emotional distress. There's something that really maybe hit a nerve for you, whether that's needing to end a relationship, a friendship, not talking to a certain family member. It could be leaving a job. You know, if you're emotionally attached to that job, I think that there's a lot of different interpretations of that card, but I'm getting the feeling that it's something that you've needed to leave. Let's just start with that, because we have the Six of Swords. This is a classic card for leaving things behind, letting things go, and moving forward. And I get the feeling that when you make the decision to leave, it's going to happen quickly, hence the Eight of Wands. This is a card about rapid action. I think that's probably the best description of this card, is that things are happening quickly. And I think through this process, I would almost switch. How would I put this? Let's do it like this. I am getting the idea that you're feeling a bit reserved because of this situation. It could be that you had to leave a relationship and now it's a little more difficult to trust new potential partners, or you left a friendship and it's hard to trust potential partners, something like that, or potential friends. And I think that I call this famously the therapy card, the Page of Swords, because he's got this little bird that he's talking to in the photo. I get the feeling that you need to talk with someone through what you experienced, because it was tumultuous and it was intense, and I think that needs to be validated and discussed so that you have a better idea of how to move forward with it. And I think that this goes well because the Death card, again, like I said, one of my favorite cards, because it means the end of something, the end of, and more so than the end of something, it means the change, because as they say, when something ends, something begins, right? So I get the feeling that you're kind of at the end of a chapter and you just have a bit more work to get through before you can release yourself, essentially. So let's pull from the, let's start with the Threads of Fate Oracle. I'm just thinking if this is the right deck for you. Yeah, I do feel this is the right deck for your reading. So we're going to see if there are any themes that we can take with us on this little journey. Oh, okay. It's definitely bouncy, which is good. This deck isn't always bouncy, but I have noticed in the past couple days it's definitely been more active. Let's see if anyone else wants to say hello. No, it's kind of feeling stuck again. Just this one, I think. Okay, let's see who is coming to join the story. So we have Surrender. I think that's a very understandable card in your situation. I think your situation is, quite truthfully, the embodiment of surrender, letting go of these things. Connect to heart. I think in particular when it comes to the Page of Swords that we talked about, having that communication and working your way through. And also you can journal with a card like this, but you're getting back to the root of understanding yourself, why you ended up in this situation, why you've left it, how you can improve your life and take this as a learning lesson. So I'll pop that in next to the Page of Swords there. And then we have the Sovereign. Now this is a card I have pulled so rarely that it is escaping me what the meaning is. So give me a moment because I want to make sure that this is accurate for you. Okay, so I promise you I normally know my cards very, very well. But like I said, I think I've pulled this maybe once or twice. And because initially when I think of the Sovereign, from what I would remember, it is about creating a sense of independence and guiding your own way. But when I was reading the guidebook, there was one thing that it said here that I thought would be important for you to know, which is, where in your life do you continually find chaos? Where are your energy and resources getting sapped? The sovereign invites you to examine those situations practically and cut out what is no longer serving you. This is not a time for being sentimental or nostalgic. And part of me is thinking this is actually your reason for leaving. I think you've left a situation that was very difficult, that you had to cut the ties or cut the emotional desire to continue it simply because it was not serving you and causing you distress. And I think that's an incredibly brave, God, such an incredibly brave thing to go through. So this seems to be where we're at now with our reading. And I've left a little space because I still want to pull from one more deck. And the reason being is because even though there's a bit of heavy energy as we end this chapter and head into a new one, there is still the opportunity to enjoy guidance, especially from deities and entities that can help us through that process, that can give us ideas of how to utilize our energy, ways that, oh, wow, that came out quick, ways that we can perceive ourselves so that we can navigate things in a way that is beneficial and meaningful to us. Okay, so 2 cards just will not go down, meaning they want to come out. So it'll be these 2 here. So we're going to take a look. The one that popped out, I actually love this card. This is the White Buffalo Calf Woman. It says, the prophetess of the sacred way, my heart is a compass, the path of love is true abundance. But she's also such an interesting character to me because she navigates nature so incredibly well and has a certain level of cutthroat energy. You know, if you do the right thing, she will hold by you and respect you. If you do the wrong thing, she will not let you continue. And there are various stories in Native American culture. I'm out of Canada, so we are trying to bring back and preserve what little is left after colonialism. And you'll notice a lot of incredible stories about these almost ghost-like women that show up even in front of settlers and colonizers and decide whether they can stay or not, or be blessed or be scrutinized for their behavior and their treatment of the earth. And I think you are becoming, in many ways, a part of this entity. So we'll start with that, and let's see who else we have. Oh, you have my favorite one. Okay, I'm so happy for you. Okay, you have Mirabai. This was the card that made me buy this deck. When I looked in her eyes for the very first time, there was such an incredible sense of independence, but peace, but righteous self-care and choice. Now her story, I'll read what it says here, but she's got a great story. But it says, the saint of true freedom, love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. So she was placed into an arranged marriage, a forced marriage, and absolutely refused. I'm telling a very Spark Notes version of this, but she refused that marriage and only wanted to be married to her faith and to herself, and stood very strongly against anyone trying to force her into something that she did not believe was spiritually right for her. And at that time, that was not always an easy thing to do, but her spirit is very strong in choosing the right direction. And I love her. I love, 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 love her. So let's see who the last one is. Mary Magdalene. You have some really powerful cards. I say this because she is also, let me see if I have it here. She's also the cover of the deck. And I kind of see her as like the securer or the protector of the deck, but also of the people that get her. So we can read her here. It's the apostle to the apostles. I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. And I think it's wonderful that you get her because it does give you that last little reminder that you are a spiritual being. And despite, here, I'll place these off to the side. And despite the difficulties that you have gone through, that you have to remember that you are a soul, you are a spiritual being, and you are allowed to be so, and that you don't have to be restrictive in expressing yourself and still being loving towards others and kind towards others. And when we look again at that Four of Coins, where there is that reservation, some people take this very literally as greedy, people that are greedy with their money. But I find that to not be a full interpretation, because this I see as protection. When you look at the basis of greed, what is it? It's someone who's afraid and trying to protect their assets to protect themselves. And for you, there kind of feels like you've had to push through a lot of difficulties to protect yourself ultimately. And so, yeah, as a result, I think it's important that you remember that you are still a spiritual being that deserves to experience love and safety and connection. And so, yeah, that is your reading for today. Again, if you're interested in personalized readings, there will be links below. And if you want to like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. But anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I get to see you in the next reading.